based on the handover approaches, which is sometimes we refer as the 0G. So I will discuss about the first generation. First generation was initially launched in the start of the 1980s, which is basically the analog system, and it allow only users to do the voice call in only one single country. It is based on the AMPS Advanced Mobile Phone System, and it using the techniques which call FDMA, Frequency Division Multiple Access Technique. And the data rate is very low, which is around 2.4 kbps. It has so many issues, like you can see it have the poor voice quality, the battery life is very poor. You can see the phone size are very big. You can see in the picture the phone size are very big, like a cordless phone previously we used to have in our home. And the security issue, the end-to-end encryption was not there in the communication. So, and there was so many call drops. We have the limited capacity issue, and the handoff reliability is very poor. Then we have the second generation in the launch in the 1990s. This is first time we are using the digital system, and we using the GSM technology, and we use the SIM in that one, which is based on the TDMA, time division multiple access technique, and CDMA, code division multiple access technique. Initially, you can send the simple SMS, picture messages, and MMS as well. And the data rate is around 64 kbps. Then we have some evolution in second generation as well, which is sometimes referred as 2.5G and 2.75G as well, which have the data rate as much faster as compared to initially we launched the 2G. So the data rate here is around 300 kbps and even more. So this is first time we are using the GPRS as well as we start doing the internet browsing. And most of them maybe you can recall from these mobile phones, which was previously we have uh, for the evolution from the second generation and then onwards now. So, but it have the few issues as well. We have the low transmission quality. The roaming is very limited, means we cannot use our same phone and the same network from one country to another country. It cannot support the multimedia. We have the limited coverage area. The coverage is very limited. Only the few cities and the big cities have the mobile coverage. The phone, the network is very expensive that time, and we have very limited service. Then we have the third generation initially launched in the 2000. This is first time we use the smartphones, so because it can support the wide range of services. And then we have the multimedia service here. Then you can transmit the videos and the images as well. It have the increment cost less as compared to 2G. And here we use the CDMA, code division multiple access technique, and wideband code division multiple access technique. Have the roaming facility as well, and the data rate was increased as compared to previous technology. Now the data is around 2 to 10 megabits per second, but it have some limitation as well. We have the limited bandwidth. The license fee is expensive because the phone was the network was very expensive, and it's suffering from the latency as well, and it have the battery. Okay, I will just go through this thing again. The 3G communication, the 3G network that time started in the 2000, and then we have, this is first time we are working on the smartphone. We have the multimedia support as well. The increment cost is less as compared to 2G, and then we have the CDMA and the blue CDMA approach as well. We have the roaming services that time, and the data rate is around 2 to 10 megabits per second. But it has some limitation, which is the bandwidth limitation. We have the spectrum license fees is very expensive, and we have the latency and the battery issues as well. Then we move towards the fourth generation, which is the current generation, which is the current mobile technologies we are using right now, which was initially launched in 2000. This is the fully IP-based system, and we have the multimedia system support as well. And here we use the OFDMA and MIMO techniques. I will discuss what is MIMO approach later in the slides. And we have the data rate up. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Not sure what's the issue. I apologize from my side. I don't know what is the issue here. Okay, so for the fourth generation, as I says, this is we have the continuously improvement in the fourth generation, starting from the LTE. Now we are on the LTE advanced, and it's completely improving with the latest technique as well. Here we have so many issues, like we have the capital is very huge. The cell age users are still suffering from the low performance applications as well, and still we cannot support the bigger power efficiency. Like our phone right now hardly can run 1 day or maximum 2 day with the current power efficiency. And with the increase in more application, and if we run more application, it the battery drain very so fast. So this is the fourth generation. So if I just summarize all the previous generation, I can say that from the first generation, which is basically the only the analog system, then we move toward 2G, which is the GSM, and 3G, which is the then we can support the multimedia application as well, and then fourth generation, which is IP-based system, and LTE and LTE Advanced are the current advancement in the 4G network. So now the next generation will be the fifth generation. So why we have to move toward the fifth generation? This is very important. I can say that my phone is working fine, means my internet ability is fine. But
Hello, sorry. I can see your slide. I can see your slide.
okay,
No
thank you.
slide.
So okay, now we need to understand why we actually need the 5G network. So there are so many things which we need to focus on the 5G, and why we actually need the 5G. As the world is moving towards so many broadband applications, we need to understand that we have to focus on enhancing the broadband services as well, and ushering in the next era emerging experiences, and we have to go for the hyper connectivity. So there are so many things, the 3D, Ultra HD video telepresence. We have to focus on the tactile internet, which is ultra reliable, and we have to focus on the Ultra HD video streaming as well. And there are so many demands conditions like venues, stadiums where so many users are communicating each other. So we need to have a high broadband services as well. And we have a fiber broadband at our home. So that's mean we have the broadband services of our mobile phone as well, and we have to focus on the virtual reality as well. So in summary, if I can say, there are three main things we need to focus, which is we have to go for the extremely high throughput, which may be in the multi gigabits per second. We have to go for the ultra reliable. Latency should be very very low, which is down to 1 millisecond from end to end latency, and the experience should be uniform. It doesn't mean that sometimes we have the high speed and sometimes we have the low speed. So we have to focus on the uniform experience as well. There is another thing. Okay, so now we need to focus on the massive Internet of Things. Okay, so we have to do the connectivity. You should have the connectivity from anything to anywhere with the efficient cost, and the communication loss should be as low as possible. And this is be possible. And if this is possible, we can have the smart cities. We can have the smart homes as well, where the home equipment can be connected with each other. Utility e-metering. We have the fitness devices and wearable devices, and we have the actuators and remote sensors, and we have so many object tracking we can do. And this is possible by using the three main things, which is the power efficiency should be very good, the battery life of the equipment should be higher, the complexity should be low as possible, and the coverage should be as compared to previous should be high as possible. Then we have to focus on the mission critical control devices. We have to focus on reliable and low latency communication link. Here we can focus on the vehicle to vehicle communication. Obviously, you cannot tolerate any type of delay in during the cars. If you are traveling in an automatic car, you cannot tolerate a millisecond delay if the accident is going to happen. So this one you need to focus. We have the robotic application as well. We have to focus on the smart grid as well, industrial automation, uh, aviation as well, and medical terminology. In the medical, you need really to focus on the high ultra reliable network. So in summarize, I can say the reliability should be very high, the latency should be very low, and the availability of the network should be every time. So this is the in summary, if I can say, there are three main things which we need to focus for the 5G, which is the enhancing the mobile broadband services. The capacity should be in the terabits per square kilometers. The data rate should be very very high. The optimization should be very good. It can have the internet of things facility. The coverage should be as low as possible. The energy should be very low. Complexity of the network should be low. The density should be high, so the more people, the more users can communicate each other in at single time. And we have to focus on the highly strong security, because which is very important if you are working on the health and the government networks as well. So the reliability should be very high, which is very possible if we have very low loss packet loss rate, and the latency should be very low as well. So these things, how can these things possible? So this is the target for the 5G networks, and these things which is possible currently, we are focusing on the five main technologies for the 5G advancement. So which is basically the millimeter wave, small cell network, massive MIMO, beamforming, and the NOMA. These are the five main technologies currently in the progress for the development of the 5G network. So I will discuss all five in just briefly to know about what is these technologies are. First of all, millimeter wave. You need to understand that the currently spectrum which we are using, in which our communication happening is all below the 6 gigahertz, which is between 1 to 6 gigahertz. Like the GPS, WiMAX, Wi-Fi, 3G, 4G, L bands, satellite bands, all frequency bands are currently below 6 gigahertz. And the problem with this brand is currently it is very crowded, and we don't have the free bandwidth available in this spectrum. So the proposed range for the 5G is to increase the frequency and use the high frequency waves, which is above 24 gigahertz to until 300 gigahertz. So utilization of millimeter wave between the 24 gigahertz to 300 gigahertz, it would be nice, and we can have the more bandwidth if we use this frequency band. But currently we are focusing on the this band, which is around 24 gigahertz to 100 gigahertz. Why actually we need the 5G spectrum, means this millimeter wave spectrum? A good thing is about this spectrum is currently unused, means no one is utilizing this spectrum. And when we have the high frequency, you can say the high frequency can have the higher data rate as well. And then we can have, when we are working on the high frequency, the wavelength is very low. When we have the small wavelength, that's mean it can support the massive MIMO. That's mean massive MIMO, the multiple antenna you can use in your transmitter and receiver, and then it can eventually give you the higher capacity as well. And here you can see in this figure, they currently from the 28 gigahertz to around 100 gigahertz, we have the different frequency bands, and we have the total available bandwidth. Like in around 28 gigahertz, we have around 1.3 gigahertz of bandwidth available. Similarly, at around 37 to 38 gigahertz, we have around 2.1 gigahertz. So even if we go for more high frequency band, we have the more availability of free bandwidth. But there are so many issues as well with this frequency by using for using the millimeter wave. Like we have the attenuation losses, because when we go for higher frequencies, higher signal penetration losses, when we have the higher penetration losses, so the attenuation increases. And we have the interference effect as well. The antenna design is very complex, the hardware is increases because the new development of the antennas as well. And we have the coverage limitation, because high frequency waves cannot penetrate at the longer distance. So when we focus on this millimeter wave, we have to understand that the coverage limitation is very small. And when we work on the small coverage area, that's mean we have to focus on the small cell. So small cell is the second approach, and we will see in future that there will be so many small cells around us. And why is this that? Because millimeter wave suffering from the high penetration losses, and it will eventually give you the small cell. So, and the combination of the small cell, we will see in future that there will be so many small cells around us. So the combination of cells would be, we call it the heterogeneous network. And you can see in this figure, there are so many small cells in the network. Like we have the pico cell, macro cell, femto cell as well. And we have the RRH and DAS as well. And you can see here the relay node as well. I will just give you a brief thing about a relay node, that, for example, this is the area where have some population, which is newly, so we installing a new macro station, new base station at this particular area is not an efficient approach. So what we can use a relay node, which can eventually give you the path from here to here by using a relay node. It's act like you can say in simple words like a repeater, but it also have so many issues which it can cause the interference as well. And when we are working on the so many small cells, you can imagine if I am moving from this macro cell to this cell, So I will face the interference effect as well, and I will face the handover issue as well. And the cost of this network is very high. The infrastructure is very complex as well. So we need to focus on these target as well. Then the next, if I say, uh, after this, we have to focus on the massive MIMO. This is one of the approach we can efficiently utilize the spectrum very well. The MIMO is the technique. You can just simply say that we can use multiple input and multiple output. The antenna of the transmitter side and receiver side would be as many as possible. That would eventually give you the high data rate. So as you can see, we have the larger frequency if, on the 5G. So larger frequency, higher frequencies means lower wavelength, and they can give you the lower antenna size. That's mean you can have many transmitter and receiver can install in one cell on one panel. So as an example, I can say like currently if I'm using on the 10 antenna, so in 5G I can focus on the 100 antenna. Like currently we are on 4 by 4 and 8 by antenna array. But for the 5G we can even go for 64 by 64 or even more. So it will give us the high data rate and more users can communicate each other. But it also suffering from some issues, which is that the antenna designing is it's itself a complex issue where we have the interference issues as well and the power efficiency, because when more antenna, that's mean you have to focus on the power efficiency of the network as well. When we do this kind of communication, when we use this kind of transmission, we have the energy loss and there are the chances of the interference among the user. So this can be avoided by using a directional transmission, and you can visualize this one like a laser beam, like only a single beam is transmitted to particular user. So eventually we can have the less energy loss and the data rate would become the higher. But it also suffering from some issues like a complexity, and it is only possible for the line of sight communication, and the range is very limited in this kind of communication. Then we have NOMA, which is the non-orthogonal multiple access approach. Previously in 2G and 3G, we using FDMA and TDMA, in which we are sending the signal at different time, which is TDMA, and then we are focusing on same different frequencies at single time, which is FDMA, and then we use CDMA as well. But in NOMA, we use a different power level for the users to access the base station, and it allow different signal shares same channel simultaneously, but NOVA provides higher sum rate as compared to OMA, which is orthogonal. But here we can say there are some issues. The energy consumption is very high and the receiver complexity will increase, and we have the power issues as well in this approach. So these are the five things which technologies which we are focusing for the development of the 5G network. And then I can say the application, one of the application is the is the internet of things. You can say that this is like any devices can be communicate with anybody by using the any business services, by using the any path or the any medium anywhere in the world at any time. So this is basically the internet of things. So you can imagine that everything will be connected to each other, and the communication would be very nice. The automation and control, it can give so many advantages. The monitoring of the different equipment, the medical equipment, it would be very efficient by using the internet of things. The application can be possible like home automation, as I says, that your home devices can communicate with each other. We have the industrial automation as well, like the industrial equipment are communicating each other. So you can predict that what machine is your equipment is going to be faulty, so the devices are communicating with each other. And the health sensors, so many sensors, body sensors are communicating each other and can give you the real-time monitoring as well for the patient. And in the smart cars, as I say, that if you are working on if you are driving an automatic car, so you have to know that all your devices, all your equipments in the car are working properly or not. But it have some limitation, which is the compatibility compatibility which is that you are not sure that how the all the devices are communicating with each other, because each one they have their own platform, and each one are working on their own design. So it is very difficult. The complexity of designing such kind of network is difficult, and the main problem is the technology will control all the on your life, and everything you will be around your the things which you are controlling you, so which is a big things for the people. And there are some applications like the vehicle to vehicle communication, as I just says, the automatic cars and others thing. One application is the smart city. Then means every building will be communicating each other. Remote telesurgery is one of the main application for the 5G as well. For example, if you are somewhere in the remote area and you need an assistant, so there are medical equipment, but there is no availability of a doctor which can operate you. So it can assist. The doctor can assist from the far and can operate you easily. And we have the application for the virtual reality as well. So in summarize, if I can just say, there are few advantages and disadvantage for the 5G network. Like we have the higher capacity, we have the higher throughput, the latency is very low, the quality of network is very good, the efficiency increases, and the battery life is very good now. And but still we have to face the security issue, which is the very research challenge right now. Infrastructure is very difficult. The initial cost to design such kind of network is still a challenging task. So these are the few advantages and disadvantages. So this is the 5G. If I summarize the 5G issues, like this slide is particularly for those people who want to focus on the new research area in the 5G. So this is the research area in the four main area, like the spectrum management issue, like how we can enhance the spectrum. So for that one, this is the six areas, which is like massive MIMO. As I say, massive MIMO helps you to utilize the higher spectrum as well. Then we have a carrier aggregation, in which we can carry a resource block from the nearby user. We have the cognitive radio technique, which is an efficient technique to utilize the free spectrum. Then we have the small cell network, millimeter wave, and we can access the spectrum as well. And the interference management issue, which I just discussed, that you can see there are so many techniques, technologies facing the interference issue. So we can resolve by using the COMP, which is the coordinated multi-point technique, in which the base stations can communicate each other in order to serve the particular user. Then we have the coordinate scheduling as well, means how to transmit the signal at which particular time, at which particular frequency. This one we can manage by using the coordinate scheduling technique. Then we have the some interference cancellation technique as well, which is ICIC and enhanced ICIC. Obviously, we are focusing on heterogeneous G2D communication, in which the users, the devices can communicate each other without the involvement of the main network as well. In the energy management, obviously we have to focus on the efficient energy allocation approach. We have to focus on the different renewable energy things. We can work on the cloud random access networks and the network planning. Okay, so we have the energy management. As I says, we have to focus on the smart resource allocation. We have to focus on different renewable energy sources for the communication. We have to focus on the cloud radio access network and the network planning as well. And for the mobility, while the users are moving from one base station to one cell to another cell. Yeah. So these are the main four 5G issues which the new researchers can focus on. Okay, this slide is for the people who really want to do some research in the 5G. So I will just give you a bit introduction about these techniques. Like the research area are the massive MIMO and the beamforming, as I discussed already. So the research area is on the antenna designing as well. And then we have the achieving the higher bandwidth at the millimeter waves. So we have to focus on the signal propagation and the RF and microwave frequency, which is basically my research area during my PhD as well. And we have the different multiple access technique as well, like we are using on the currently are using the OFDM technique. And then we have the filter bank multi-carrier approach, generalized FDM as well, universal filter filter multiple carrier approach, and different other techniques. And we have to focus on the modulation technique and coding technique as well, which is right now we are on the 16 GOM or more. Then we can focus on the 256 GOM as well. Now this slide is just to give about the previously myth we are facing. And I receive so many calls and messages from other people which know me that I work on the 5G network. They really want to know that is it really dangerous, because as we know currently we are suffering from the world pandemic about the coronavirus. So there are so many myths which are saying that 5G is really dangerous, and wherever is the 5G is implemented, like China previously started and the USA, so they are suffering more from the corona. Okay, so this one I will just tell about the myth which is going on about the coronavirus, that this is caused by because of the 5G, because it happened initially in the China, which is the main source of the corona disease, and now it reaches to USA as well. So I will just give you one or two slides which you can easily understand that why it is not dangerous actually. So first you need to understand the what is the electromagnetic spectrum, means what frequency we are focusing. Then you can understand easily that is it really dangerous or not. So you can see uh, this area is the current radio spectrum we are focusing, and this is all in the gigabits per second, means in the gigahertz. So this is the radio spectrum. You can say this is the starting from the lower frequency, which is the sound waves, which is 20 hertz to maximum 10 kilohertz. You can hear we have the AM radio, which is goes from 600 kilohertz to 1.6 megahertz. We have the ultrasound, which is maximum on around 1 to 20 megahertz. And we have the FM radio in Pakistan. Usually the FM radio frequency is from 88 megahertz to 108 megahertz. And we have the TV broadcast as well. We have the mobile phones, which is currently the frequency spectrum is 900 megahertz to 2.4 gigahertz. We have the Wi-Fi router, the wireless data is working on the 2.4 gigahertz as well. The microwave, yes, it is dangerous. I will tell you why the 2.4 gigahertz is not dangerous as well. And then we have the radar communication as well, around 1 to 100 gigahertz. Then we have the terahertz frequencies in which we do the bioimaging as well, screening as well. Then we have the more higher frequencies, which is the infrared frequencies, in which our even the our TV remotes are working on the infrared as well. And night vision cameras, dental kerning, these things are on the one around the gigahertz frequency band. After this, you can say there are the dangerous frequencies which starting, which is the exahertz, and then it goes to the zeta hertz. So here you can say there are the X-rays, which is really high frequencies. And the most of the baggage in the airport, you can see this happens by using the high frequencies as well. And there is an cosmic rays as well, which is very high frequency. So you can see that this is the spectrum, which is all the radio spectrum which we are focusing on right now, and which is this is all below the terahertz frequency. So you can see that there is no harm by using this technique. And I can say you can differentiate that there are two type of frequencies, or you can say the spectrum, which radiation. Sorry, one is the non-ionizing radiation, and another is the ionizing radiation. So non-ionizing radiation are all the below the terahertz frequency band, and ionizing radiation are the above the petahertz frequency band. So what are the ionizing and non-ionizing radiation? Actually, the ionizing radiation is the one which can actually cause you the damage, because it has the ability to, because it's very small and the wavelength is very small, and it can damage the DNA, and it can causes the cancer. And the non-ionizing radiation, yes, it can use for heating up, but only when you are working on the very high energy. Like in microwave, we use the 2.4 gigahertz non-ionizing radiation, but it's working on the very high frequency, high power with high energy. So there is no way to get that these frequencies until terahertz frequencies are dangerous. Even we are working on this is the current the dark blue color you can see, this is the current 3G and 4G spectrum we are focusing, and the 5G is this one. So this is still very far from the dangerous frequency, because the current frequency spectrum is around 850, 900, 1800, 2100, 2300, and 2600 megahertz. And even for the 5G, we are focusing on the 24, 28, 32. This is the Navita 38 gigahertz. And now even for the 60 and 73 gigahertz, people are focusing on it. And if you can see, if you can just think that that any mobile operator can just increase the frequency range in order to get the higher data rate, this is not possible, because there are so many organizations and authorities which are checking the mobile operators. We have the International Commission on Non-Ionization Radiation Protection, which actually can tell and that which radiation is ionizing and non-ionizing, which means which are dangerous for human or which are not. We have the 3GPP, which focusing on the designing the standards for the mobile networks. We have the ITU and the World Health Organization. So these are the organization which are working behind the any mobile operator if they are focusing on. And there is one very nice YouTube video you can just Google if you have still have doubt that why still the 5G is dangerous for the communication. So thank you so much from my side. I'm Dr. Faizan, and this is my contact information. If anyone have any questions, they can ask me right now as well. You can maybe unmute as well, or you can just type the question as well. Or if I cannot able to answer right now, I will just save your question and can inshallah email you the answers and the detail as well. So thank you from my side. Hassan, can you just give me the detail how we are going to proceed the Q&A?
I will just read out the questions from the chat.
Okay, I can see some question as well. Starting, this is a question from the, I think, Mr. Rabia Aman. She's asking, is 5G is hazard to death and causing COVID? Okay, this is the one which I just discussed in my last slide, that we need to understand this. The 5G cannot cause any virus, at least. It maybe if you can just say it can cause some damages to your DNA and your cells, but you need to understand that corona is basically had because of the virus. So there is no way that higher frequency even can make a virus in your body. So, and if you see the frequency spectrum as well, there is no way that this frequency spectrum is harming. But yes, if the excess use of these frequencies, the mobile phone very nearby you, can give you some radiation effect and can give you some disease. Okay, there is another question from Ms. Engineer Mohammed Farhan Siddiqui. What is the purpose of beamforming? Okay, as I say, beamforming is basically is used for giving the directional communication. Like as we know, we are focusing, like me right now here, is there any user nearby with me? Okay, so if the transmit signal is coming towards our area, so maybe there is loss in the energy because the coverage area of the transmitted signal is very big. So there is no advantage of using this big size coverage area if I am just a single user and I need a single beam. So by using a beamforming technique, we can just direct the signal to that particular user, and it can save you the interference as well, and it can save some energies as well. Okay. So questions. Does 5G disturb the Earth EMF? From Wajahat Salim. Does 5G disturb the Earth EMF? as high frequency range, which causes the birds difficult to fly. No, this is again the some similar kind of thing that it can cause the any dangerous to the health. As I say, we have to understand that the frequency spectrum we are working right now. Yes, I agree that this is the higher frequencies as compared to the previously used. I think this is the main reason people are worrying more that we are more, going on the high frequencies. So this gonna be the dangerous. But as I just show you the electromagnetic spectrum, this frequency spectrum is still very, very, very safe for the human, and there is no way that any organization can allow, because the human health, the human life is the most important thing. So there is no way any technologies can bring without the testing, without the confirmation that is it really dangerous for human or not. There is another question from Muhammad Amanullah Khan, that Dr. Faizan, do you think 5G is a complete solution? No. This is a good question. I can say that there is no complete solution for anything. Obviously, 5G is already started implementing in so many areas, but we see so many issues regarding to that. So there is always room for the improvement in the any technologies. Right now we are working on 5G. Maybe in few years I can say that people are start working on the 6G as well. And I know in Pakistan usually we are still not fully focused on the 4G right now, but we can in near future we can say that 5G will give us the better solution as compared to previous technology. But obviously with respect to time, with respect to the demands of the users, with respect to the higher application, we always need the evolution in the technologies. And there is another question: how can we differentiate OFDMA with NOMA? This is a question from Mehraj Siddiqui. And why FTDA is preferred? Okay, this is a detailed question. I think I would, if you can just drop your email ID, or you can just email me, I can give you the explanation about this thing. And briefly, I can just say that this technique can give you the more access technique to the user. Like the spectrum we are using, DMA can give you the more opportunity and utilizes the more spectrum as compared to the current NOMA technique. Okay. The corona is a biological virus and not an electronics virus. Okay, this is nice. Obviously, this is a biological virus, as I say, corona. So, does high frequency range the 5G can carry more data? This is a question from Mr. Mujahid Akbar Ali. Does 5G frequency range means the 5G can carry more data? Basically, as I say, when we are working on the 5G spectrum, which is the millimeter wave spectrum, as you can see, the bandwidth availability at that particular frequency spectrum is higher. So when we have the more bandwidth, we can transmit the more data. Okay, can you share these slides from with us? Yes, I can share. I'm not sure how to share right now with this, but if you can just email me, I can share you the slides, no problem. Okay. There is another question from Heather Raza Nikvi. Will 5G smartphone support can give will it the market for the bike and the same as the 4G? Will the internet things generate IoT generate traffic? Okay, for the current 5G smartphone, we don't have currently in Pakistan, as far I know, there is no phone launches for the 5G. For the 5G, if you see that the current phone you are using right now, they can support you the 5G spectrum. No, there will be new phones for the 5G, which is currently are they launching, so they can focus on different frequencies. But as I say, we have 5G will be on the higher frequencies. So the smartphone have the capability as well. If you go to nearby 5G tower, and you can imagine that your current phone is can give you the higher bandwidth. No, we have to focus on. We have to buy the new smartphone as well, which is currently in the progress. And yes, it can able to support in the gigabytes per second, and we have the higher video traffic as well. Okay. Yeah, so is there any research going on the overcome to destroy some part of the cell? There is another question from MS Iqbal. Is there any research going on the overcome which destroys some part of the cell? I think this, I'm not the right person to answer this particular question. This is maybe more related to medical, but yes, there we have to focus on the those frequency spectrum which are not dangerous for the human. So it can eventually help to avoid the any kind of human disease as well. What programming languages will be used in 5G architecture? This is a question from Mr. Saad Hassan. So Saad Hassan, I really don't understand your question. Programming languages like 5G architecture can, I can say that architecture can be can consist of so many things. So we have the software defined network, we have so many other things as well. So each hardware equipment which focusing on different languages as well. So I'm not sure how to answer this one. There is another, people have completed CNA certification. How can you jump to the 5G? Yes, CCNA is, I think, the good approach for if you want to focus on the networking as well. So it can give you some basic information about the OSI layers and the work on the physical layer, the OSI layer, the session layers as well. So each layer have its own working. So you can, I think, focus on different kind of application for different approaches. Yeah, I think few of the people is asking for the slide as well. Hassan, can you help me? Is it possible to, I can share the slides right now so everyone can have?
Sir, could you share your email with them on the
सर
chat?
अपना जो आपकी स्लाइड है वो ईमेल कर दीजिएगा मुझे, तो मैं जितने भी पार्टिसिपेंट्स मैं फिर उनको आगे ईमेल कर दूंगा.
Okay. So I think those who want my slides, I think I can share to Hassan and they can give you. Is there, I would like to thank you for doing PhD. Yeah, I wouldn't mind if anyone want to do research in the area. My work is mostly focusing on the D2T communication. I'm focusing on interference cancellation as well, millimeter wave communication propagation as well. If anyone want to pursue the master's degree and the PhD degree and want to do some research as well, so they are welcome. You can see my email ID. I think I can write my email ID in the chat box, so at least you can able to communicate with me. Uh, I have shared already. Maybe you can receive. So you can communicate with me and discuss with me the research idea. Then we can see how can we proceed. Has anyone launched 5G phones? Yes, I think there are some few phones from the Huawei, I believe. They launched some 5G phones as well, and I'm not sure about the iPhone, but Samsung maybe also they launched some smartphone as well. 4G and 5G supported phone under my pillow over the night. How much is dangerous to from 0 to 10? Having phone under my pillow itself is dangerous to use, so I would advise not to use the phone. But apart from joke, yes, it is dangerous because it is continuously signal, because there are chances because there is a heat issues as well in the phone. So when you use the phone and there is continuous use of anything is harmful. I would suggest in terms of that brain cells damages and those things, I would not say that this is dangerous, but yes, please avoid using the phones while sleeping and nearby your phones. Okay, Mr. Nurullah Janejo, how will 5G will change the wildline architecture that currently support the 4G and the okay, this is good. The architecture of the 5G will be consist of the small cell, as I says, because if we are working on the 5G millimeter wave, so the cell size would be small and the architecture would be changed. Like we have to create the wide network more, and this is why the 5G want to be the very expensive as well. So obviously there would be connection between the base station will be connected with the fiber connectivity, and we need a higher backhaul services as well. Okay, share your email again. How do you see the architecture based on the 4G is very fast and you told and the 5G will be much faster. How it will be the 6G C and other technique because the more changes in productivity would be made. Yeah, as I say, yeah, this one from the Gibran Ali, he's asking that how you see the 6G will be useful. Obviously, as I say, with the innovation, with the application, and with the above enhancement in the technique, the application. Previously, we don't have so many high application. So right now, if you want high to run the high application, you need to have the high connectivity as well. So we every era means every 10 year you can see starting from 80s to 90s, then now we see the more advancement. If you think that advancement is enough for in our generation, in 20s we achieve everything, so this is not possible. Obviously we have to focus, we are moving towards more advancements, so obviously there is a room for improvement in any technologies as well. So you can select the size by clicking on meeting details and you will attach the option. Let me try to share. I'm not sure. Yeah, I think I mistakenly left the group. I tried to share the presentation, but I think I couldn't able to share here. I share the email ID to you again, everyone. If anyone want to contact, they can contact on this email ID. Is there any more questions? Okay, this is a question from Mr. Syed Saik Hussain. Will it be noticeable impact on power consumption if the world moves towards the 5G? Okay, the power consumption. Yes, obviously, as you can see that, like if you just notice that the phone you are using right now, if you don't open your data in your phone, the power is efficient, is much efficient. But obviously, when you move towards the 5G networks, you have to face the power efficiency as well, because when you are working on the MIMO antenna, there are so many antennas in your, for example, in your mobile phone. So multiple antenna. That's mean every antenna need to be power, and obviously they are less. They work on the less power. But obviously there is an issue of the limited power. So there are studies and works going on as well on the power as well, and make the batteries efficient as well, so the people can use the different kind of battery. Like right now I think they use the lithium battery, so there are some advancement on the batteries as well. So I think, okay, how do you see the architecture based on the NOMA for tactile internet? Okay, this is question from Abdul Aziz. Okay, so architecture, yes, if we want to make an tactile internet, we have to focus on the NOMA. As I say, there are so many other approaches as well. This is one of the approach we can focus. I think Abdul Aziz, if you can email me the questions you want to ask in detail, I can answer you properly, I think. Okay, MS Iqbal asking a question that, sir, on which frequencies can we work on to reduce the harmlessness which affects the human? Okay, as I said previously, that the currently spectrum we are working right now for the 5G development is basically the 28 gigahertz 24 gigahertz, 32 gigahertz, 36, 38 gigahertz, and even for 60 and 60, 73 gigahertz. I would recommend you to some research papers by the New York University team. The professor over there is Prof. Rappaport. They are really working very nice on the high frequencies channel propagation. So in their frequencies, you can see in their paper, in their research, you can see that there are frequencies which are giving very efficient results, very high data rate as compared to the lower frequencies right now we are using. And regarding the harmlessness of the frequency, I told you already that all the frequencies which we are focusing right now, the frequencies for the like below 100 gigahertz are the safe frequencies for the human as well. Is there any more questions? I think Asan, if no question, then I think we can finish this session.
Sure, sir.
Okay, thank you so much everyone who participated in the session, and I apologize from my side as well for the continuous distortion uh, in the communication, as I'm talking about 5G and my communication is not strong, so it's quite embarrassing for me as well. But hopefully in the next few sessions, if you organize, we will able to invite you, and hopefully you learn something, and have a nice day and be safe. Okay, Assalamu alaikum.